Brian and Tracy had been married for 7 years and lived with their young son, Bobby. On their wedding anniversary, Brian discovered a shocking secret that turned his life upside down. Tracy was caught kissing another man in a photograph. When Brian confronted her, he angrily asked, "How do you explain this? You asked me where I got the evidence, but does that change the fact that you betrayed me?" Tracy, though admitting to the kiss, insisted that it was not cheating. "We just kissed, nothing more. Everyone saw it, so how can it be considered betrayal?" she argued. But for Brian, her explanation only added fuel to the fire. "So, this is how you keep your marriage vows? You won't even tell me who he is or why you kissed him. Do you think as long as you didn't sleep with him, it's fine?" he said through gritted teeth, feeling deeply hurt. Tracy tried to calm him down. "Brian, you're overreacting. We just got caught up in the moment." But the sarcasm in Brian's voice became more evident. "Oh, so I should stay calm because I don't know his name? Are you afraid I'll punch him and he'll hit me back? Thanks for your sincere concern." Tracy still refused to reveal the man's identity, which only made Brian angrier. "You chose him over me. Now it's my turn to choose," he said before rushing upstairs to pack his bags. Tracy panicked and ran after him. "What are you doing? I can't take your lies anymore." "I need to leave before I do something I'll regret," Brian replied coldly. Tracy kept insisting, "Kissing him wasn't cheating, Brian. I never betrayed you." But when Brian showed her another photo of her being intimate with the same man, she could only break down in tears, unable to justify herself further. Brian stormed out of the house in anger and pain, leaving Tracy behind in heavy silence. Their marriage had begun to crack beyond repair. After leaving home in a fury, Brian decided to rent a motel room to clear his head and figure out his next move. He struggled internally, thinking about Bobby, their 3-year-old son. If they divorced, Bobby would grow up in a broken family, and Brian would have to pay alimony and child support, a future he didn't want. "I just need an explanation or an apology from Tracy," he thought, but her silence only deepened his despair. Feeling the crushing weight of loneliness, he cried himself to exhaustion and fell asleep in the empty room. The next afternoon, his phone started ringing nonstop with messages from Tracy's friends, people she had confided in about their conflict. Brian had worked as a chemical engineer for 5 years before being promoted to production manager at a research center, earning a high enough salary to move his family to a better place. Tracy had worked at a customer service center before becoming a stay-at-home mom at Brian's persuasion. Her old colleagues had become her main social circle, and although Brian never objected, he always felt out of place among the charming men in the group. Now, those friends wanted to meet Brian to resolve the issue. Tracy didn't contact him directly, knowing he would block her. Cassidy, Tracy's best friend, arranged a meeting at her house on Sunday, but suspecting a setup, Brian suggested Angus Steakhouse, a place where he could easily leave if necessary. They reluctantly agreed. Brian had 3 reasons for attending: to understand Tracy's motivations, to see where her friend stood, and to determine if anyone else was involved in her actions. As a manager, he was used to facing conflicts and staying composed, and he was determined to find answers before making any decisions for himself and Bobby. Brian arrived at Angus Steakhouse with caution, noticing that Tracy's friends had arrived early, probably to discuss their strategy. The only empty seat was next to Tracy, but he coldly demanded to sit at the other end of the table, even threatening to sit alone if they refused. Cassidy quickly relented, adjusting the seating. As the tension thickened and orders were placed, Brian suddenly handed out copies of the photo of Tracy kissing the unknown man. "You all seem very concerned about Tracy and me reconciling," he began. "I'm shocked that she shared our private matters with you before even talking to me. This is blatant disrespect." Then, he got straight to the point. "Look at this photo carefully. I want to know the name of the man Tracy is hiding. If no one is honest, then we have nothing to discuss." Silence fell over the group. Even Cassidy remained speechless. No one admitted to knowing the man, though Brian was certain at least one of them had the answer. Disappointed, he stood up. "Thank you for your time. Clearly, none of you are interested in fixing this relationship. I'm sorry, but I'm leaving. Tracy called after him, begging him to stay, but no one else spoke up. They had planned for a calm discussion, but Brian had caught them off guard with his direct demand. Leaving the restaurant, Brian returned home from the motel, thanked the babysitter Tracy had hired, and moved his belongings into a separate room. He installed new locks on his bedroom and bathroom to avoid any unwanted encounters with Tracy. When she arrived home at 10 p.m. and found him in Bobby's room, she tried to hug him in relief, but he blocked her. "I'm here for our son, not for you. You want to talk? Give me the name of your lover first," he said coldly. Tracy refused, bursting into tears. But Brian was resolute. "You chose to protect him. I choose to protect my son." The gap between them widened, beyond repair. A week of unbearable silence passed between Brian and Tracy. They only spoke to Bobby, avoiding each other's gaze. On Monday evening, Brian came home to find Tracy's friends gathered in the kitchen. "Where's Bobby?" "I don't want adult conversations happening near him," Brian said immediately. Tracy replied that Bobby was staying overnight at the babysitter's and that her friends had parked their cars a block away to surprise him. Brian asked coldly, "What's changed that I need to know?" Tracy nodded and led everyone into the living room, where two unfamiliar faces appeared: Elliot Franklin, the man in the photo, and his wife, Gail. Tracy introduced them. "Brian, this is Elliot and Gail Franklin, longtime friends of ours. You wanted his name, now you have it." She warned him that if he attacked Elliot, her friends would intervene. Brian smirked. "Now you're worried about me getting hurt? That's a little late. All you care about is protecting him." Elliot stood up and offered a handshake. "We got off on the wrong foot. I want us to be civil. I'll respect you if you do the same." Brian refused to shake hands, calling him Mr. Franklin instead. He criticized Elliot's disrespect for his marriage. Elliot defended himself, saying that their group believed in free love, that monogamy is outdated, and that sharing partners help relationships grow. He even suggested that Brian could join in and enjoy the benefits. Brian was disgusted. "You just called every woman here a whore, including Tracy. I won't accept this twisted logic." Tracy admitted that she had experimented with Elliot to spice up their marriage, but didn't tell Brian because she knew he would object. Brian was furious. "You thought I needed to be enlightened by someone like him? Why didn't you talk to me first instead of sleeping with him?" Tracy tried to defend herself, but Brian had already made up his mind. Their marriage was over. That night, Brian locked his bedroom door. The next day, he contacted a divorce lawyer. The battle had just begun.